thing on? So today I turned 30, and the last few days I've been in this reflective state of like the last 10 years. And what's striking me is that I feel like my 20s have gone by so fast, like seriously so fast. But then when I look back at pictures to 2015, when I just turned 20, it feels like a lifetime ago. So it's this strange feeling where, like, on one hand, I feel terrified by how fast life goes, but at the same time, I'm kind of comforted by how much we can truly do in what little time we have. Today, I want to talk about the next chapter, the next decade of my life, while reflecting a bit on what we've done here together in the last 10 years, because as crazy as it sounds, some of you may have been here for literally the entirety of my 20s. So even though content that I make isn't surrounding and focused on my life, I feel lucky to have been able to share the times of the last 10 years with you for a lot of it. Today, we're getting personal, so I hope you'll indulge me a bit, but anyways, what a 10 years it has been. For as long as it feels that I've been doing content, 10 years ago, I wasn't doing it full time. I can't remember the exact crossover period and like what time it was, but I was either working at Burger King, and I was the Burger King, not fielding any questions, I was the Burger King, just bear that in mind. Or I was working at a local ski resort that it was a municipal thing. It wasn't actually a ski resort, but nothing crazy, but it was at least nice that I wouldn't come home covered in grease as opposed to working at Burger King. But at this point, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And frankly, I still don't. Like, I just feel pretty lucky enough to be doing what I'm doing day in and day out and taking it as day in and day out. But at this point, I'm pretty sure, again, timing feels a bit hazy, that I had just transferred to the university that I graduated from, studying marketing and business. I was still touring, playing music with my band and all that, but I mean, I was just trying to figure it all out. And of course, still doing YouTube. I think at this point, I was actually double uploading, as crazy as that sounds. I'm honestly not sure how I managed that, because I was working 8 to 10 hour shifts at Burger King, going to college full time, and still making YouTube content somehow. So I don't know, man. I remember I would come home between my 35-minute break from Burger King and actually finish uploads at that point. But since then, it's been history. I remember it was pretty much the first milestone we hit, I think 10K on my 21st birthday, which is crazy that timing matched up. Shortly after that was the first time I ever was invited on a trip for YouTube, being part of a new group that was brought in to record and capture Black Ops 3 DLC 2 early here with that. That was still crazy to consider. I remember looking at the email that I got, looking at it, reading it a couple of times, and just popping out of my seat and going, "Mom, I think I'm going to LA." Taking that first little step of like, I don't know if this is a real email. Am I being catfished or like what? But of course it ended up being real, which is super cool. My earliest memory of like, oh God, watching like YouTube grow was the Zombies Chronicles videos we put out a year after that or so. COD World War II was like the big break, I guess you could say. The first time that I started like, oh, this could be something. And that was really cool. We hit 100K during that year, continued to grow. I don't remember. I think this is when I made the jump to like full-time content at that point, which is basically just quitting my jobs at Burger King and then this ski resort and then commuting full-time, still going to college. I was basically just paying for my tuition at that point with it. But Black Ops 4 and Blackout provided a bit more growth, Modern Warfare 2019, and the snowball effect happened to where we ended up coming today in the last couple of years. COVID hit, made it through a pandemic, took part in COD Next 1, 2, and 3, a couple of other DLC stuff in there, and then slowly starting to realize, oh God, I'm the old guy in the community now. When I look back at the first event that I went to, again, being like 21 years old and seeing some of the people there that had been in the scene for so long, it's now kind of come full circle where I've been in the scene so long and the people that are at these events are so much younger than me. And it's weird, man. Growing up is strange. But in that time, personally, I've graduated, I've traveled, bought a house, got married, considered kids in my late 20s here, but that's a story for the 30s. And honestly, I've made some of the best friends that I could ever ask for in my personal life and professional. There's so many people that I could never thank enough for their love and support throughout this entire last 10 years or so. I've met seriously some of the greatest people on the entire planet, I feel like. But again, it's so strange because it feels like it went by so fast, and almost all throughout my 20s, I was living with some existential dread that it's going by too fast. I don't want it to end, and whatever the case. Like, I don't know if it was like a fear of death or maybe like a fear of missing out on the moment, but that's subsided a lot lately, and even despite thinking how fast it went truly, there were so many monumental occasions in those 10 years that I am so lucky for what I've been able to do personally and professionally, that like it genuinely feels like a dream. And if I'm lucky, I'll have another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years maybe that I'll be able to look back at each of these 10-year milestones and be like, wow, that was a really fulfilling decade. Frankly, at this point in my life, that's kind of all I want looking into the future here like that. Like, I just want to be able to look back and say, that was worth it. But what about the next chapter? Both personally and professionally, I want to make some changes in my 30s. Professionally and how it will affect the content here, there might be some differences. I've covered Call of Duty and more recently other FPS content on a daily basis for nearly 13 years now. Like, this time almost next month, it's a long time, of course. Stretches the entirety of my 20s, plus doing it then a little more so. And when it comes to creating, you want to grow something, it becomes an obsession. Something that's probably good if you want to succeed, but you run the risk of it genuinely consuming you. And for me, YouTube did. It's not until recently, like the last 2 or 3 years or so, that I've really felt like I could step away. And I don't mean for good, like I don't mean like move away and go retire or something like that from the YouTube game. But I could go and do other things. Like, I could spend a day off and be okay with it mentally. I wouldn't have this anxiety of, I need to get a video up, need to keep that real time churning. And that's one of the things that I want to continue doing here in my 30s, is letting go of that obsessive nature over controlling every little thing. You may have noticed that this year already we've uploaded less long form content. The shorts we still have daily, but that's something that I have a team for that. Basically all I do is VO, add some direction notes and a couple of B-roll footage, gameplays and stuff like that, and my editor will do all that kind of stuff for me. So like, that's again part of letting go of the obsession, where I don't have 100% creative control on the shorts at this point. Like, I'm giving somebody else the freedom to do stuff so that it affords me just a little bit of not having to do it, if that makes sense. But I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to take days off to where bi-daily upload schedules might become a norm here in 2025, as we mentioned in the sort of 2024 recap. And not only does that allow me to focus more energy on like what I want to do day to day, but also it allows me to focus more energy on other projects, including stuff that's content related. I said it in our 2024 recap, my goal this year is to start uploading to my second channel a little more, at least more consistently. I don't know about like every single day or like every other day, but at least more consistently, to the point where I'm not taking 6 months off or whatever. And I know I'm not off to a great start. Started uploading Indiana Jones content and then just didn't do it for weeks. But then also I want to get back into the swing of streaming here. And so to have that maybe bi-daily schedule, if we end up getting to that, well, that's every other day I have time to work on second channel content, streaming, whereas I'd otherwise be working on a long form for the main channel here. I also think I'm going to attempt to bring some different styles and other content to the main channel here, just perhaps to shake things up. We talked about it, like I know that from January to June or so, that's like when things are just kind of go with the flow. Like, it's nothing's really major happening. So if I can create longevity in content without having to rely on sort of hype periods when people are interested in a certain game or something like that, that's awesome. And honestly, just because right now that content from January to June-ish before reveal, it's not really all that fulfilling. A lot of the times, even when you get excited for something here, the way the game, especially Call of Duty goes, even if you're excited for something, people are going to be mad at you for something you can't control in the comments, and it becomes something that's just not as enjoyable to read. So I kind of want to bring some other stuff in here to supplement and hopefully bring the vibes up across the board. Sometime in the next year or few, I'll probably also want to transition into something else. I'm not talking about giving up content altogether, though I don't know if I see myself doing YouTube in 10 years when I turn 40. I don't know. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I've spent all of my 20s in front of a computer monitor. So that's something that I don't regret for a second, because it's, again, allowed me to chase a dream job. It's allowed me to meet some of the most amazing people I've ever met, have some of the coolest opportunities I've ever had. But I also feel like I've missed out on a lot of living, if that makes sense. Like, you only have so much time in a day. And when I look back at my early 20s in particular, when I was still like heavily obsessed with and chasing, like, I want to do this as a job, that's one of those things that I'd miss out on if I was invited out with friends or something. I'd be like, I got work to do. I got to stay here and work on videos. Or something popped up where I just have this anxiety of like, I got to make sure I still get a video up. I want to live to the most that I can in my 30s here. Not really saying that I want to do all this crazy stuff because YouTube has made me so successful. It's not. I'm just a normal dude. I'm not going on extravagant trips every other week or something like that. But literally, I just want to be able to be in the moment more often. Another thing that I kind of want to set myself a goal here for in the next couple of years is I also want to work with people. Like, I'm building a team for content, yes, but I've sat in front of my desk for so long without interaction with any other human that, as weird as it sounds, like I don't long for an office job, but I long to at least interact with people on a daily basis of some kind. So my personal goal for this is to expand that printing business that me and my wife have been setting up. And again, which by the way, if you're into that and you want to get some apparel, let me know. I think that'd be really cool. Not necessarily like an espresso brand apparel line, but like just an independent apparel line that I want to work on. But I want to grow that printing business to where I can expand past the local small batches we're doing, but also like set up a warehouse to where I can employ friends and family. We can all work together on a sort of project and see each other day to day. I feel like that'd be really cool. But again, I think just the biggest thing is I just want to be present. I want to be what I wasn't really as much in my early 20s. And so looking back at the last decade, it's again been crazy to consider that it's been 10 years, but it does feel kind of like a lifetime in that 10 years. So I mean, I guess thank you for being here for any part of it, for being such an important part of my day-to-day life, making content, making whatever it is we interact with on a daily basis, whether it be on social media, whether it be these YouTube videos, whatever the case. I genuinely can't thank you enough for taking any of your time out of your day to spend it watching something that I worked on. Like, that's truly humbling and an awesome thing to think about that I don't think that I'm ever gonna take for granted. Like, I just, it is so crazy and cool to me that the love of video games can bring people from around the world together, but to have a community, to have a place where we can all discuss this kind of stuff together and grow as a sort of, as weird as it sounds, family. Like, I appreciate you guys being here every step of the way. And again, whether you're brand new or you've been here all 10 years, I truly appreciate you. I appreciate you and always will. So that said, I don't know where else I'm going with this. My notes are out, and yeah, we're gonna be back to the regularly scheduled content here either tomorrow or the day after or the day after that. I don't know, sometime in the next couple of days. My schedule's all sorts of messed up at the moment. But anyways, I just wanted to sort of reminisce a little bit here because, again, you guys have been such a big part of my life the last 10 years that I feel like why not take a downtime and just talk a little bit about it. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys for more regular content, and here's to a hopefully healthy, happy, and prosperous next decade for not only myself, like I love that, but also for you. I hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, hope 2025 and beyond is great for you. But anyways, thanks for indulging me. I'll see you later though. Take care and peace. I just realized how much my hat kept falling down my head. It started here and then went all the way up. My forehead's so big.